Welcome to Life of an ENFJ. Today we're going to be discussing relationships, specifically ENFJ, pros and cons, and how they feel sexually, and then we're going to be talking about their ideal type, INFPs, their pros and cons, and their sexuality. But before we go more into depth about this, and before the video really gets going, I'm going to talk about two things. First thing, I apologize that it's taken such long to get this video going. I've been busy with school. So the second thing, I'd like to throw out a disclaimer. Now this disclaimer is that when it comes to the 16 types, they shouldn't be put in these boxes, or they shouldn't be defined by their relationship shouldn't be defined by this set construct. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is an ENFJ can have a happy relationship with an INFP, or not just an ENFJ, any of the 16 types can have a happy and fruitful relationship with another type that isn't their ideal type. The reason this is because it's subjective. It's very personal. There's different likings in individuals. Okay. Not only this, but if they're at a certain point in their life where things are good, and the other person at a certain place in their life where things are good, and the maturity level is there, two types that are complete opposites and that shouldn't work at all can come together and have a very good relationship. So now that I've got the disclaimer out of the way, I'll move on to ENFJs. And excuse me for this, I'm looking down, there's a ton of notes here, so I'm going to be looking down at them, but just bear with me and I'll start it. So we're going to start with ENFJ pros. Now if you've watched these videos consistently, you've kind of noticed a trend here. ENFJs, their pros are also their cons. What really excels them and pushes them forwards is also their Achilles heel. Specifically, one of the biggest traits is their idealistic ways. This can also hinder us a lot. So we're really big into our intimate relationships. We're really big into those. Not saying that we can't have flings or anything like that, but what we long for is that intimate relationship. We define ourselves in that intimate relationship. We're extremely affectionate as well. We like to put other people forwards, or specifically our partners forwards. We're kind of like, ENFJs are kind of like a catalyst, if you will. They are there to push other people and to put them in a place to where they're going to be right, and then they're going to go after their goals. We're very good at communicating. We're pretty optimistic, and both of those are very good in relationships, in my opinion, especially communication. Communication, I mean, it's just not even just intimate relationships, but relationships, period. Communication is key, you know. We bring out the best in others. Like I said before, we're kind of catalysts. We're very organized. Go figure. Most J types are, not just ENFJs, but any J type normally is. We're really loyal and committed, so this helps drive the relationship between an ENFJ and whoever they're with forwards. We're kind of hopeless romantics as well. Because we're so idealistic, this really, I don't know, it just kind of makes us that way, if that makes sense. So now that we've covered some of the pros, we're going to go into the sexuality. Sexually, because we're in an intimate relationship, sexually, we want to make sure that the other person is pleased first. We want to make sure that they get the enjoyment and the satisfaction. And when we make love, or when there is that intimate moment, it's not shallow. It's extremely deep. Extremely deep. Okay, so now that we're done talking about those, we'll move on to the cons. We can kind of make a routine of things. Go figure. We feel extremely guilty when things don't go the way that we plan or the way that our partner plans. We bring it upon ourselves. We really get down on ourselves for it. We can be a bit overbearing at times, which is not good. Even in early relationships, we do that. Like when the relationship is just starting, we can be really overbearing. It's not that we're trying to self-sabotage ourselves, which we do. It's just because we want to know where the relationship stands. That's why. Um, we're really critical to opinions that don't match our own. This this can really hurt a relationship bad. My advice to any ENFJ out there: be open. Be more open to other people's opinions. Look at things objectively instead of subjectively, which is extremely hard um, for anyone, not just an ENFJ, but for anybody, period. Um, be respectful of other people's opinions. You know what I mean? Let's see. So, our eagerness in the beginning of a relationship, that can help, like I said, it can help push us forward and it can help bring us back. Excuse me. So personally, let's see. Because I just got done talking about an ENFJ, most ENFJs, I'll talk a little bit about myself, a little insight. I'm really looking forward to the big relationship when it comes. Go figure. That's like one of the first things I said at the beginning of this. We're really into that intimate relationship. We really long for it. And so when we don't have it, it really kind of eats at us, or at least it does for me, anyways. I'm like just constantly being patient with it, longing for it. That's what I need. We're really picky. I've noticed that if they don't, really quick, I can figure out if I'm gonna like that person in an intimate way or not. It's kind of a pro, but at the same time, I feel like I cut people off when I shouldn't. When I get in especially the beginning stage of a relationship, I start analyzing things like way too much, way too much. I constantly ask my friends, I'm like, yo, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'm like, dude, just relax, like calm down. And I'm like, I can't, because I'm constantly trying to figure out where we stand, what's gonna happen, and whether or not I'm going to end up having a long-term relationship or a short-term. We're constantly thinking about that, or at least I am anyways. So now that we've discussed ENFJs, and I've given a little personal info, we'll discuss INFPs. Now this is a bit hard for me because I've never really researched INFPs too much. Every time that I've taken a MBTI test in the past, it says that I'm drawn more towards INFJs. Yet again, this is personal preference. The perfect example right there. But I've never been in a relationship with an INFJ or an INFP, and I've met more INFJs than I have INFPs. So I'm interested to see if a relationship was to develop in either, which one I would gravitate towards more. The ideal type is an INFP, so who knows? But we're going to go ahead and discuss INFPs now. Some of the pros: they're really kind of tranquil on the outside, but really deep on the inside. Um, they have a huge capacity for love. They're really laid back and supporting, which I could see why that would match up with an ENFJ. People tell me all the time, they're like, bro, you are like way too relaxed. You're way too relaxed about situations. Like they flip out over little things, and I'm like, I don't do that. I'm just way too relaxed. I don't know if that's just me, my personal upbringing, or an ENFJ things, but I have heard that most ENFJs are pretty relaxed. So I can see how that combo with an INFP being really relaxed and an ENFJ being really relaxed, I could see how that could work, because if I was with someone that was constantly freaking out over little things, I don't think it would work out. They're really altruistic because of their IF type. They are an NF, so they're going to be idealistic as well, which is a win-win for both of them, for an ENFJ and an INFP. Yeah, so they're really altruistic with their introverted feeling function. They strive for win-wins, just like ENFJs, which is it kind of goes along with communication. You've always heard in relationships that you need to give and take. You need to have open communication. Those are the keys to a good, solid relationship. So that's a big pro for an INFP. They're flexible and diverse. That P type, they can roll with it. They can roll the punches. They can step outside and do things that ENFJs won't, just because we're so organized and we have a set schedule, which will help an ENFJ and could help an INFP. I'll elaborate on that a little bit more when I get to the cognitive functions. So here, they're able to express themselves really well, which is a big benefit for ENFJs, and luckily for an INFP, ENFJs are good at doing that too. INFJs are really idealistic, like I just said. The NF type, that's just how they work. Sexually, INFPs are really slow to open up, or at least what I've read anyways. They're slow to open up in the beginning of a relationship, but when that relationship has a solid foundation, they really open up. They value their mate's satisfaction over their own. So much like an ENFJ, they really want to see pleasure come from their partner more so than themselves. Some of the cons: they're a bit shy and reserved. They need their space. They need that really badly too. Which is kind of a bad side for an ENFJ, because ENFJs are always poking and prodding. We're always wanting to see what someone's wanting to do. Like, oh, let's go do something. Oh, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? That's just kind of how it works. So I could see how that could rub off on an INFP in the wrong way. So my tip to an ENFJ and an INFP, if they were in a relationship like that, is probably best that they talk about it. ENFJ realizes that the INFP needs their space. They can go do things on their own, and an INFP just be understanding that an ENFJ kind of just works like that. It's not like we're trying to be annoying. It's just we want to have that good communication. We want to do things with you. They're not good with conflict or criticism, and then they usually blame themselves when things go wrong. So much like an ENFJ as well. So it seems like there's a lot of when you compare the two, it seems like they all line up together. And ENFJs, it is. That's why it's a perfect match, according to the Myers-Briggs. The cognitive functions for an ENFJ is extroverted feeling, introverted intuition, extroverted sensing, and introverted thinking. And then cognitive functions for the INFP is introverted feeling. Let's see here. I think it's extroverted intuition after that, introverted sensing, and then is it extroverted thinking? Yes, extroverted thinking. So the way that we come to this conclusion about their ideal types is the functions, how they function. So the dominant function of an ENFJ is extroverted feeling. The dominant function of an INFP is introverted feeling. Now they play on each other. They both have these goals of the feeling. One of them is extroverted, the other one is introverted. They complement each other. So if that makes sense. Same with the judging function and the perceiving function. They complement each other. When one of them gets stuck in a rut or a fixed way, the other one is so loose about things that they'll get the other one out. Vice versa. When the other one's too chaotic, the ENFJ will pull them in, get them organized. Excuse me. Same with the extroverted and introverted function. INFP, they get too introverted, extroversion of the ENFJ will pull them out, and vice versa. It just kind of lines up, and they're both idealistic, so their goals are going to be very similar, and they really long for that relationship. that intimate relationship. So this is why they line up like that. And if you want, I'll leave a link down below. It compares the two types, and then it also compares other types and what their ideal match is. So I hope that this video helped out. I hope that ENFJs can take something from this, and if an INFP is watching, I hope they can take something from this. I hope all types can take something from this video as well. Relationships, like I said at the beginning, they're not set in stone in this idealistic kind of way. They're not set up by this construct. Sure, that's your best match, that's your best option, but it's not set in stone, okay? So I hope this video helped, and like I said, I'll leave that link down below. More videos to come, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.